Oh, yeah, we have sound now. Good evening, everybody. It is 5:15, Thursday, August 10th. And we were at the Infrastructure and Facilities Committee of the City of Wausau. We will start with item number 1 on the agenda, approval of the minutes of the March 13th, 2025 meeting. Do we have any additions or corrections to that meeting, or
I would move to accept the minutes.
make a motion to approve? Thank you, Alder Watson. Motion to approve, second by Alder Martins over there. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And thank you. That passes unanimously. Reconsideration of parking restrictions on Hamilton Street between 10th Street and 12th Street. That's item number 2. And we'll turn that over to Alan. First, is there any public comment that anybody wants to comment on this first? I guess before we'll, come on up. State your name and address, sir.
Yes. Wes Ebert at 1201 North 12th Street.
Hi, Wes.
In the middle of this. Did you guys get, first of all, my neighbor Josh is out of town, spoke last time. Did you get his email that he sent?
We did, yes.
Okay, so you've seen that then. Okay, great. He asked me to make sure that you received it. I would want to reinforce what Josh said about having parking on the streets, especially both sides, does calm down traffic. It really is a safety issue because cars, unfortunately, everywhere, but this is a way we can keep the traffic calm on our street. Another secondary concern I've got is my side of the street rarely gets plowed up to, even with all the issues you're talking about, rarely gets parked up to cleared up to the curb in the winter. My driveway grows by 5 feet. If I have cars parked across the street from me, I'm going to have a hard time getting out of my driveway in the winter. It won't be able to back out readily. So there's a secondary issue on that one. But the other big thing is that I've lived in that house for 20 years. There's never been an issue about what you're bringing up right now on my end of the street at all. On 12th Street or my half of Hamilton, it's only this year that I've noticed there being a problem down near 10th Street. And after the last meeting, or after the last letters went out, next storm came, and I noticed that there wasn't a problem there. The cars were not blocking off the street. Then the neighbors there, I think, realized that there's something to be dealt with, and they could do that by not parking at that street at that point. Have you considered the simplest solution to this of talking to the individuals at the end of the street there that tend to park out there and just say, can you be aware of this? And I think that's already happened. I don't see a need to go and put up signs everywhere down the street and restrict parking in ways that are not beneficial to anybody. That's my concern right there, my comment.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anybody else wish to comment? Okay, then we'll turn it over to Alan.
Sure, the maps were included. I think the original request came from Public Works with the plowing, and there were some pictures included showing how parking and prevented the plowing of the street. The last action taken was to restrict parking on the south side and the east side. That was asked to be brought back for consideration. So engineering and Lori sent out letters again, stating that this was going to come back. So engineering did receive 3 emails, which I've given you all copies of. 1109 Hamilton, McKenna said to stick to the no parking restrictions that were passed last time. 1106 Highland said the same thing, stick to the parking restrictions year-round. But then 1108 Hamilton, which the letter was Josh Holland, he does not want any parking restrictions. I think he was the gentleman who requested that it be only during the winter months. Now he's requested it just to leave it the way it is with no parking restrictions. And then engineering also did receive a call from 1020 Hamilton, Darla Shuett, and she wants to uphold no parking on both sides as was passed. So I guess engineering comments, there were 3 to just keep it the way you guys passed it last time, and 1, no parking restrictions at all.
Thank you.
That's all we had. That's all the comments that we got.
Thank you. I'll open it up for a comment. Alder Neal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, again, yes, this is just the next block up from where we live. So I'm quite familiar with it. And, seeing that plow photo was pretty definitive of the winter problem. A few years ago, there was a fire on that block, right in the middle of the block. I don't think it was like a major fire, but it was a fire, required response. And had there been parking on both sides of the street, that would have impeded access for emergency vehicles. You know, on our block even, I see on any given night, people parking on both sides of the street. They just don't seem to be able to get, you know, the alternate, you know, sides, you know, thing down. Don't think about it or don't figure it's going to be enforced. I just think that we need to just go ahead and have one side parking on that stretch there to just eliminate these, you know, the bottleneck for emergency vehicles and the plowing problem. So
And
that would be what I would support.
Would you support that year-round or just for the winter months?
Year-round, because like I said, you know, that fire was like not in the winter, you know, so.
Because I believe that's what we passed last time, and I just talked with Eric.
Yeah.
is-
Also, I mean, concerns that we've heard about traffic and people using that block or those two blocks and, you know, speeding up or whatever. I mean, really, that is not a thoroughfare by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, you hardly ever see anybody driving through there unless they live there. So I just think it's best that we, you know, if anybody needs to park on the street, they can just park on the north side or the west side and just leave it at that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Neal. I guess I would support that too. If you know you're the alder for that district, you live in a neighborhood, so I would support that too. Do we have any other comments? Alder Martins.
Okay, I lifted my hand nice and high so you could see me there. One of the concerns that was made in the public comment was parking is used as a method of traffic calming, and I guess I have concerns about parking as traffic calming because that's not really a method that's, I'm not going to say accepted, but that's not, you know, that's used in most cases. And if speed or traffic is an issue on this street, maybe engineering should go back and do some kind of a study to see what kind of traffic is happening on this street, and if other approved methods of traffic calming might be necessary in order to reduce the speed that's happening in that street. I guess, you know, with Hamilton, you know, being it's a short street, and I can't imagine, you know, why it would be a usable, you know, by an advantageous thoroughfare unless people are trying to shortcut to Steuben or something. But I guess I'm in favor of keeping the parking as we decided to last month.
Okay, thank you. No further discussion. Would entertain a motion.
I don't know, do we need a motion here at all? I mean, we've already voted, so I think this is just a consensus type situation.
Well, and the city attorney is not here for the parliamentarians, so
Well, just for the sake of that, then, I
I
would make
guess-
a motion to maintain the restrictions as passed previously.
so you're making a motion to deny the reconsideration.
Correct.
Okay. Motion has been made by Alder Neal. Do I have a second? Second by Alder Watson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that passes unanimously, 4-0. 3, reconsideration of parking restrictions on 12th Street between Hamilton Street and Steuben Street.
I'll make the same motion.
Do we have any, okay, anybody from the, okay,
I live on 12th Street. There's never been an issue. I'm not sure why it's being brought up.
And come on up to the microphone, sir.
I live on 12th Street, and there's never been an issue with parking or obstruction or anything on that stretch of street. I don't see why there's an issue even to worry about.
Thank you. Motion is made by Alder Neal. Do I have a second by Alder Watson again? Is that true, Alder Watson? All those in favor to deny the reconsideration signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously as well. Item number 4, discussion and possible action on initial resolution to set a public hearing to vacate Pine Ridge Boulevard from North 28th Street to West Hill Drive. Who has that one here? Is that you, Alan?
Like the packet says, there was a letter that was included from Aspirus, the possible or proposed expansion, which they would request the vacation of that street, of Pine Ridge Boulevard. This would just set the initial resolution to hold a public hearing.
Oh, is Aspirus here, would like to?
Tom Renz with 4080 North 20th Avenue with REI. I'm here with Paul David from Aspirus, Barbara Burnett, and Renee Gorski. We're interested in expanding the parking field for the hospital parking lot for a future building addition, and so we're requesting that that portion of Pine Ridge Avenue get vacated to accommodate that project. And we can do a full presentation during the public hearing to share the plans and the bigger picture.
Okay. Alder Watson, did you?
Yeah, I just wanted to, so the question would be from 28th, so I'm looking at the map, right? 28th Ave, and then that circle, that Pine Ridge, all the way over to Parkway or Westwood? I mean, it would in essence be all the way to,
No, if you go to the
like
next
this.
map,
Oh,
the map,
that,
just that section,
okay, all right,
just that section on the west side.
just this little strip. Okay.
And this is just a request for a hearing as well, so
Right, the actual testimony would happen at the hearing.
after the hearing,
This is
at
just-
the hearing and
correct.
after the hearing, yes.
This would
so
just set the hearing.
This is just to set the hearing. Yes, Alder Watson.
Then I guess I would move to set the hearing.
Okay.
Second?
Okay, motion by Alder Watson and a second from Alder Neal to have a public hearing on item number 4 in the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And thank you, that passes unanimously as well. Item number 5, discussion and possible action on design options for reconstruction of 28th Avenue from West Hill Drive to West Wausau Avenue. I guess I looked at the options here, and I read through this, and seeing as the response that we had from the public and through this whole scenario, I would have to say that the public wants item 1, or option 1, we should give them option 1. But that's my opinion, and I'll open it up for discussion.
Yeah, I can just interject here a little bit. Lou, or Alder Larson, if anybody has any questions, I did kind of lay out the options. There's some preliminary cost estimates in here. I just want to caution that these cost estimates do not include the sanitary sewer or water costs. These are strictly for the roadway portion. So I just want to keep that in mind. And if anybody has any questions on the options, I do have bigger printouts
Okay.
up in the front if anybody wants.
Is there anybody from the neighborhood that would like to come up and discuss on this item? Come on up, sir.
Frank Steffel, 2801 West Wausau Avenue. So option 1 is to keep and resurface 28th Avenue going down the hill.
Correct.
The last time I was at the meeting, it was roughly gonna be like $1 million plus without any water drainage. I mean, I know one time we talked about putting cul-de-sacs and just eliminating that thoroughfare right through there. I mean, I guess my theory is, it's working now the way it is. Why would we want to invest $1 million plus to refurbish that street, not knowing if it's gonna stay good? I mean, you got Westwood on there to go around and you have everything else working. Why invest on that hill, whereas every time I go to a meeting, the plow drivers don't like going down the hill? It really isn't feasible to me as the city to pay over $1 million and still know you didn't do the water runoff. So to me, I think our option would be put the cul-de-sacs in, eliminate it, and just keep it the way we got it going now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I just thought I'd throw that out there because I'm always for the people. Whatever the people want. Anybody else like to come up and,
Karen Singh Sim, I come down this road all the time.
your name and address, please, ma'am?
I live at 5177 North 28th Ave.
Thank you.
And from what I can see here, my friend lives on Maple Creek. He's right here between 29th and 30th. And from what I can see, you got him blocked off on 3 ways to get out of his house. I don't think this option, if it's the same option I had from the fall, because I've since had a surgery, I couldn't come to all these. I'm showing this goes up past Madonna and swings up and goes up to 30th. Is that what we're proposing for this option 1?
Option 1 is basically to reconstruct it right the way it is now.
Okay, so it's changed since I got an option 1.
Yeah, the 4 options are laid out here. They're in the packet.
Okay. Because I didn't get I haven't gotten from Chad Hinkie any notifications about these meetings since December. And I just happened to come across somebody that said, oh, did you know about this? And
Yeah.
so I never get packets, I never get anything anymore. So it goes
We
straight
did
out?
distribute to the neighborhood in the city.
Well, he lives in the neighborhood. He didn't get anything.
Did we, Lori, tonight? Yes, we did.
Okay.
Are you in the city?
Yes,
Okay. You are?
I'm on 27th Ave.
He's on between 29th and 30th, the whole area there.
We would have distributed in the 29th and 30th area, 32nd Avenue area.
When?
Last week,
Because
send it out.
he never got it.
Never got it.
No. Whatever.
That-
Okay, so the new option is that it's gonna redo 28th, not the one I have, so. I don't know, all I see is a TV, so sorry.
Yeah, I think there's 4 different options. Alan should probably run through them. Option 1 is to reconstruct as is.
That's okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So option 1 is to reconstruct 28th
Okay.
Avenue the way it is.
Okay, yeah, it isn't what I had. I had this one
Basically-
still.
This
So.
is the way it is now.
Okay.
And we had option 2,
No, this one's good.
which is kind of the way it's set up now, bringing people up Madonna, cul-de-sac, maybe cul-de-sac. But,
I'm the one that it cost me about a quarter tank of gas to do this every day, doing it wrong.
Then option 3.
Option 4, we're going to turn it.
Option 3, yeah, you want me to-
We would
Yeah.
relocate the roadway over here.
And
And
option 4 was
basically on
the
30th.
original
And that's the one I have is 1.
county option of bringing it over of the 30th. So those are the 4 options.
Yeah.
All right. I like option 1 then. I have no opposition to that.
Anybody wants to-
No.
Any other discussion from the committee? No.
I think there's some other.
Oh, come on up, ma'am. Oh, there's,
My name is George Mosier, 710 North 32nd Avenue, Wausau. And option one is the best there can be. You won't believe some of the crazy people that come up 32nd yet. I know there's been some traffic stops, but it's absolutely crazy sometimes. Not all the time, but it is. And I've talked to other people in that area. They have kids that go across the street there on 32nd. So leaving 32nd as the main artery is not really an option because that's a residential. Thank you.
I saw one other person that,
Barbara Burnett, 200-478 Junction City, Wisconsin.
And Paul David from Aspirus. We are both from Aspirus, business address 2200 Westwood. We're here today to speak on behalf of the recommendation that I think has come out at this point, which is to go with number one. I know that we've had an opportunity, we being Aspirus have had an opportunity in the past to speak before you regarding this issue. We do support that thoroughfare to continue in its current configuration. I think some of the reports that you've heard from other people about drivers doing some crazy things, it stems from the fact that this is, in many respects, a historical thoroughfare for the city of Wausau. And there are people who use it that rely upon it. Also in the sense that Aspirus is developing much of a campus in that area and has done so and hopes to continue to do so with the belief that there was going to be a thoroughfare in this area. That's an effective and an important lane of travel for many reasons associated with the development of a campus in the area that we are really excited and hopeful is going to continue to develop into something really great. So we are here to voice strong support for the first option that is in front of us now. Thank you.
thank you. No, come on up.
Hi, I'm Brett Leighton-Wald, 3007 Ridgewood Drive. Keep it short, but I really prefer, again, option one. I'm just here voicing my support for that. I've been to all the other meetings, and the overwhelming majority has always been to support just reconstructing 28th Avenue. As it's been said before, I've witnessed some dangerous situations with bus stops with kids and things like that off of 32nd Avenue. Drivers kind of get impatient in the morning waiting for kids to cross the street and things like that. So, you know, we've moved the detours and stuff like that, so I think we've done as much as we can at this point, but I think opening 28th Avenue then would solve the rest of the problems that we still have. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Mary Hulgren. I live on 819 North 27th Ave. I think I was here to a meeting before, but I didn't get any notification, nor did my neighbors, about any of these meetings like today. My friend saw it in the Wausau Pilot and said, there's a meeting Thursday night. So, you know, living right there, walking my dogs on West Wausau Ave, going to work, going down to 32nd. I mean, it is difficult. I feel bad for the people on 32nd. I know there's a single mom on 30th, couldn't make it tonight. She has 5 children. They're outside playing all the time. And I think I told you guys last time, I end up walking my dogs half the time in the ditch on West Wausau Ave because with Highland Church, people are coming up 32nd too, and it's just very concentrated. People are still trying to go down 28th, and they get a little upset, so they head over on Marianne and come up 27th crazily fast because they're not happy. I feel if we reconstruct 28th Avenue correctly, we shouldn't have all this problems with it washing away and everything else. And I think you've got people coming down from you. I mean, it really is a thoroughfare, and I don't think it's fair to reroute this stuff through residential neighborhoods.
Thank you. Yes, sir. You were already up here once, were you?
Can I say it again or no?
we'll allow it.
You know, everybody talks about this speeding on the 30th and around. Everybody speeds in Wausau, I get it, but I live right on the corner. Come summer, they're just as fast, if not faster, with that street open, flying up and down, no matter what. So I'll be honest, I think the traffic is slower and easier with Highland Church and everything there, with the way it is blocked off, and if we put them cul-de-sacs. And to say with Aspirus wanting to build, I would think you'd want people to be on Westwood where there's a stoplight to get easier now. If that expands, then there's hardly no stoplights or stop signs here. You're gonna have people flying up and down on it. That's what I'd like to say, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now I'll open it up for committee discussion.
I'll start, I guess.
Oh, thanks, Alder Neal.
It's a difficult one, obviously. I tend to put a lot of weight in what staff recommends because they looked at it a lot more than I have or we have. And I am very concerned about the winter situation. If we were to go ahead with option one, as it's mentioned, I think here in the packet somewhere, the addition of, gates for snow emergencies or ice storms, whatever, I guess remotely operated, from here, is something that I would think we would have to do as part of complete reconstruction of 28th. So I don't like the idea of this kind of pretzel-shaped, trafficking through, neighborhoods and whatnot, from people that are just, hell-bent on getting somewhere like they always used to. So I'm probably going to be voting in favor of option one with the caveat of looking at, protecting it in the winter and looking at impacts for our snowplow operators, that sort of thing. So that being said, I mean, in the winter, does it just get plowed like going downhill?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you. That's starting off the discussion.
Thank you, Alder Neal. I tend to agree because, it worked for years, and to shut it off, I mean, as I said at previous meetings, I think the city and the county has let the neighborhood down over the years by keeping this in such a limbo to where it's to the point where it's unusable. And as much as it's gonna cost the city to reconstruct it, I think that's the necessary thing that needs to be done in this situation. So I'll be supporting option one as well. And that's not saying anything, taking anything away from engineering. I mean, I appreciate all the work you guys do here, but option one will be for me. Yes, Alder Watson.
Thank you. Option one's ideal, but with reconstruction, will we be back here in another 10 years with the washout? Or will we be able to do it so that, it has more lasting power?
No, right. It wouldn't be a 10-year road. I mean, we'd put storm sewer in. Right now, there's a lot of washing because there's no storm sewer down that road, so the water just it's kind of an undefined ditch. So we would more than likely either put a better ditch down the east side of 28th, or more likely we'd add storm sewer all the way down the hill.
And so you said the option cost estimates don't have storm water, or no, they don't have what included?
They don't have sanitary sewer or water main, because no matter which option you do here, if sanitary sewer and water is going to get done, it's going to get done with any of the options, so it's really kind of irrelevant.
Okay.
It's just that the cost to construct the road is what changes here.
Okay, so that other part's gonna be the constant regardless of what option we choose?
Correct.
Okay,
Right,
and it's like the
relatively.
lead lateral replacement and stuff like that that we do on regular reconstructions, or?
There wouldn't be many lead laterals, if any, out here. This is all newer sanitary sewer, so it's really not about the lead service.
Okay. But it would be like reconstruction of stuff that it would be required.
The main lines, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Which this is relatively new out here, so I don't anticipate, there's really no break history for the water either. So I wouldn't anticipate a lot of sewer and water cost on this. But to answer your original question, we would manage the stormwater so the road would hold up.
Okay. Because the grade is definitely significantly different. I was looking at the little baby grade things, and I mean, it is pretty, I don't know, I was looking at option 1 or 4. I know 4 is like another quarter, like $750,000, but, I mean, if it would redesign it in a way that we want, I mean, this is gonna be the way we want it for the rest of, so, that, finding an extra $750,000 is a little hard.
Yeah. Option, just so you're aware, option 4, which is kind of the original county design, that would have continued north across West Wausau Avenue through the Village of Maine, where the village would have constructed it, and then it would have came back to 28th. But the village has expressed no interest in doing that or extending that. So if we were to build this, I think it would be a T intersection at West Wausau, and then people would have to
So you'd still have some. of the
still have to go
problem.
right and then left. So there'd still be some issues with it just because the village, I mean, that could always change, I guess, but right now the village's stance is they're not interested in extending the road north of West Wausau Avenue.
Thank you. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Alder Watson. Alder Martins, here, would you like to comment or not?
Yeah, I was formulating my comments here. Because Alder Watson addressed some of my concerns. One is the water runoff, but hearing that there's going to be a more robust storm sewer system in the reconstruction, that leads me to believe that the road bed would have more staying power. My biggest concern, though, is that grade, that 18% grade. And I think in the staff memo, Alan, you mentioned that recommended grades don't go beyond 12%. Is there kind of a way to sort of explain the difference between a 12% grade and an 18% grade, so people can visualize what the difference is between the two? I mean, it's.
I guess I don't have off the top of my head something that's more of a 12%. That's more of a federally funded mandate. In a local road, we can kind of we don't have to follow per se the federal standards. It's just kind of a recommended, but there's not much we can do here with that grade. We can fill a little bit on the bottom and cut a little bit on the top, but not much because there's houses up there at Mary Ann. So there's not a lot we can do with that grade.
Yeah, it's so and right now it's I think 28th is at like an 18% grade, which is it's quite significant.
It is.
And I think the closest, I'm just thinking, the closest to like what a 12% grade is something like Franklin Street or even Town Line Road.
Town Line would be closer, yeah.
Yeah, and even that gets to be steep, but it's manageable. So the cost of option 1 is approximately $750,000 more than option 2. So we're talking the difference between $1.5 million and $2.2 million. Just to be so that everybody's aware of that, that those costs. That will be $750,000 of additional debt that the city will have to carry. So I just want to put that out there so people understand that when we start talking about debt in a few months when it's budget time, that will be something that will be part of that discussion. So thank you.
Thank you, Alder Martins.
We will continue to refine this estimate. I mean, if whichever way this committee decides to go when we come to request a budget, we'll continue to work on this and get a better estimate. This is our kind of our 30% estimate at this time, but we'll continue to work whatever way this committee decides.
All right.
Yeah, so it could even go up. It could be more depending on, if we hit what the bedrock is underneath the road.
Yeah.
Part of that work will be to go get borings out there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I would entertain a motion. Alder Watson?
I guess I'd make a motion to pursue option one.
Okay. Motion by Alder Watson to pursue option one.
I would second that.
Second by Alder Neal. All those signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That carries unanimously. And thank you. Thank you all for sharing. Item number 6. Discussion and possible action on proposed 2026 street reconstruction projects and 5-year plan.
Sure, we can move into this now. So for 2026, the 5-year plan this was previously approved by this committee. So next year's summer construction would be Stark Street from 5th Street to 12th Street. What we just discussed, 28th Avenue from West Hill Drive to West Wausau Avenue, North 8th Avenue from Spruce to Bridge, and then West Wausau Avenue from 10th to Stevens. Now, there's all notes on those. Obviously, 28th Avenue we just discussed that's an estimated cost, which obviously has gone up. We should update that number to what we just discussed. I missed that, I apologize. And North 8th Avenue, note number 2, that would be a TID 8 funding. And then West Wausau Avenue, next summer, that's STP Urban that we've been approved for, so the DOT will be paying 80% of those costs. So what I'm looking for is just a confirmation that we want to move ahead with those streets in 2026. And then also as part of the 5-year plan, obviously the 25 drops off, so that in 2030, we are proposing to add some more streets up there, and I guess I can go over those streets. I put it in there, all the streets and what their ratings are, and so I don't know if anybody has any questions on adding those streets. This committee in the past has kind of said, to try and go to different quadrants of the city. So we tried to do that a little bit. There's maps in here of these streets. So if anybody has any questions on any of these. I see I do not have the map for North 4th Avenue from Merrill to Randolph. But that is, I think everybody would know where North 4th Avenue is from Merrill to Randolph, but we can discuss that. And 17th Avenue, we'd also like to put on the 5-year list. My plan and engineering's plan would be to apply for STP Urban or LRIP funding to help fund that. It is a 4-lane, high traffic, so I think it would score high with LRIP or STP Urban. So I'd like to get that on the list and apply for the next funding cycle on 17th Avenue.
That needs it. It's bad. Anything else, Alan?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Alder Martins.
Yep, I just wanted to speak a little bit on Plummer Street, because I'm glad to see that this finally made the cut, even though it's 5 years out. That street's in my district, and if there's ever a street that I get complaints from residents, it is Plummer Street. And I got one guy in that street that reminds me every month about the condition of that road. So I hope that the street gets reconstructed while he's still able to enjoy it. So thanks for including that one in the 5-year plan.
Okay, Alder Neal.
Thank you. Well, we might have to look at 2026 in light of the 28th Avenue project that we've been discussing, and looking at prioritizing or robbing from Peter to pay Paul or whatever. So this is something we need to probably look at again and readdress. Other than that, I have a side issue I'd like to bring up with regards to street reconstruction projects as a rule. We had a meeting of the Parks and Rec Committee earlier this week, and I brought up this concern. You know, the Parks and Rec Committee is tasked with, you know, authority over our city forestry. And I'm seeing so much, I'll just call it clear cutting, on streets where projects are going to be happening. Right now is Fulton Street, I think it is, that, you know, tree after tree after tree after tree, just gone. And, you know, I don't know if they were infested with ash borer or if they were even ash trees. You know, years ago, and you know, the director will remember, we had extensive discussions about managing our street trees, their value to the city, their fiscal value to the city, to real estate values and the like, the amenities that they serve. You know, they are a resource that we cannot just take for granted. Was it McIndoe Street or Grant Street, just east of like 6th or whatever, next to the church there. I mean, every tree on the block down, and now with tiny little trees this big put in.
McIndoe Street is the same.
Yeah. So we stated as policy years ago that trees have to have a priority, have to have a consideration, and need to be treated with respect and protected when at all possible. We even talked about, you know, kind of going around them with sidewalk projects, if, you know, if we deemed it necessary. There's some precedent for that on McIndoe Street, and a house where a couple of, well, large trees that are no longer there, but at some point in history, the sidewalk meandered around these trees rather than cutting straight through. We've seen where people doing sidewalk replacements have, you know, cut through tree roots so they could set their, you know, where they're going to put their cement, and subsequently tree gets blown over in a stiff breeze because it's half of its, you know, root structure has just been severed. I want to see, going forward, if at all possible, that street projects, tree plans are brought before the Parks and Rec Committee for us to review and have comment on, because I just cannot keep on seeing our canopy disappear because engineers figure it's okay because it makes their job a little easier. You know, if there are, on any given tree, give me the reason on that tree. And that's how I want to be looked at, if at all possible. I just don't want this general rule of just cutting them down and then putting up little saplings. It's just, I hope that I can see this change in the way we do things.
Perhaps we could put that on the agenda for next month?
I think one of the things, you know, that the cutting of the trees is actually done through the city forester, right? Our engineers work with the city forester. So I don't have an issue with that because John would be the one who would, you know, kind of prepare that. So
Well, what we were told at committee was that the city forester is kind of like at the mercy of what he's told to do by the engineering department.
Yeah, I mean, there are trees that we have to take down for utilities and stuff for sure, but, you know, I mean, we rely on him for anything that we need to take down for disease or condition of trees and stuff. But I think your point is well taken, Tom, and I don't have any problem, just with direction from the committee as a consensus.
I think on any given block,
preparing that.
even if a couple of trees that were deemed healthy enough and they weren't, you know, posing a problem, a logistical problem, other than, well, we'll have to kind of work around them or something, that even a couple, 2, 3 trees on any given block will help to, you know, keep an element of beauty on that block. And it's just something that we need to, I think, have more thought about going forward.
Sure.
Well, perhaps we should put that on the agenda for next month, and maybe Aunt Lori could get a hold of the city forester and have him here as well. And hopefully we can come up with something for that. Does that sound appropriate? Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, back to item number 6. If there's no other discussion, we'll entertain a motion to accept or reject.
Well, I'd make a motion to accept as presented, with the caveat of 2026 may have to be looked at in terms of budget and impact of 28th Avenue.
Okay. Thank you, Alder Neal. The motion has been made by Alder Neal, second by
Second.
Alder Watson. All those in favor of accepting item number 6 as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Item number 7, discussion and possible action on city property proposals for a fire training tower.
Hello, everybody. Appreciate your time. I think I was here at the last meeting, and it was a pretty vague meeting, but I filled everybody in, I think, on why I feel it's necessary that we move forward with that training facility and our collaboration with NTC. I did go ahead and this was a very fun project, by the way, but I did go ahead and look at 4 properties that had more pros than cons, that for the most part are owned by the city. They are in the packet, and I would be willing to discuss each and every one of them. What I'd like to do is get to a point here tonight where we could pick one as a group to maybe move forward with, if you all deem necessary or agree with me. But I guess you guys want me to answer any questions before we just start talking about the 4 properties?
I just have one question, and that would be, perhaps it's not appropriate, but have you got a cost figure for this tower?
I do. I have a few different options as well as costs, and we'll be moving forward with NTC once we get to the point. Right now, I think it's necessary to show in the partnership that we're willing to have an area to do this and to move forward. You could differ on the size of the training tower. That changes the cost. You can go with. They do a lot of different training facilities made out of these cargo containers, which saves some money. So there are some costs that will be coming forward, but it's such a variable in cost right now, depending on what way we go. It would be something to discuss as we keep moving step by step. So
I guess I don't really feel comfortable myself. I mean, we can go ahead and pick out a land, but if we don't have any cost examples, well, we can go ahead and talk about it.
Well, I can tell you that,
Yeah.
looking at containers and going with the cheapest, most simplest of a structure that qualifies for our ISO 1 ratings, as well as something that we can train in and with all the different variables, starts at about $260,000. And then there's towers that go all the way up to $1.25 million, $1.5 million. So if that
Okay.
helps at all, to
Yeah.
keep the discussion going.
Okay,
I have looked at all of those options also. And NTC is also digging up what they've spent on their training tower that's located in Merrill. So
Oh, all right.
they'll be getting back to me on that.
thank you, Chief. Okay. Alder Neal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not really familiar with the neighborhoods that are being, outlined in these illustrations, these aerials. One particular, though, seems to be on water. Where is that located?
So I believe are you looking at the second page?
Yeah, the one, well, it seems like it's bordering on water.
Okay, so that's over on Burek.
Yeah.
And the pro to that is the location, because it's near NTC's campus. So that provides a lot of opportunities for us to use different things available to the tech at this property in a close vicinity. The The con to that property is it is owned by the city, but it's not in the city. It's actually in Maine. And it would have to be developed, which is also another cost. But I did put it on there because of because of the fact that it's so close to NTC and would be something that could be utilized by a lot of different communities, in the fact that they come to NTC when we keep building on this partnership and we decide how we're going to go about sharing this facility if we ever got to that point.
Do you know what the acreage of that lot is?
I don't know if Eric does.
The utility owns that property. It's, the utility has about 80 acres up there. That's where our well fields and stuff are too, up on that location. So Jeremy and I had talked about this piece as well. This is actually where the water plant is. This is just to the north. Our water plant builds basically right up to the village line. And so this is part of the property that's to the north of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out of the four, I think this one's probably the least feasible.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an option that I wanted to put in there because of the location. And I guess if we go, let's see, where could we start? If we start with the first set of pictures that are in there, that's the Cleveland Ave property, 1300 Cleveland, the old incubator property. What's nice about that is location for the Wausau Fire Department, something that we can use and still be in response districts to make sure that we're responding quickly and effectively to our citizens. It's also off the beaten path, so we won't have many gawkers, so to speak, so that we're not causing accidents and that sort of thing. And it already has a hydrant, a water source on the property that wouldn't have to be added. And it still has concrete, so a foundation for a structure to be built on would also be a cost savings instead of having to put down, fresh concrete and that sort of thing. So I think this property is very nice as far as talking about it as the Wausau Fire Chief, and something that it's my favorite of the four because of location, because of the idea that there's already water there, there's a driveway there, there's concrete there. So I'm always trying to find where we can save money so that it can keep moving forward with the structure that we would like.
There's also the DPW training site there, right?
Yeah.
Would that be compatible?
We just set that up because the property's not being used right now. Yeah, I mean, if we could use it when have extra space, that'd be great. If we could continue
Yeah, and
with that.
I started thinking about that in collaboration, and we talk about that with another property too, where a site like this, I think would be cool to be able to collaborate with our other city entities like the police department, DPW, and whoever else, where it could be somewhere, maybe a community center went there one day, and it could be an observation area where people could come watch the fire department train, or the police department, or DPW, ask questions, get pictures, that sort of thing. I think that would be a neat future goal, where we'd start with, a tower and have in mind that there's enough property here that all our departments could use it, work together, and really be a neat little area where, for me, it's kind of a recruitment. If kids are coming and looking at fire trucks and watching us train, it might be something that they held on to for years to come and become firefighters and serve their community, whether it's working for DPW, the police department, and any department in the city. So I like that property for the fact that it's got a lot of future potential. So.
But it's not been cleaned up. It's an environmental hazard as it sits, isn't it? Is it not? I mean, that's been a battle over the years that they don't even want people walking in that property because of the contamination that's there. So.
Yeah, the city's working through that with the DNR, so everything's been delineated out. We have a remediation report with the DNR right now. Hopefully we'll get something back in June, July. What work would actually need to be done. The city council said that they would like it to cleaned up to non-industrial standards, which is more strict, so that's how the plan was written. And so we'll be bringing that back too. But it is in process and moving forward, so. From
Okay.
that side.
Yeah, I guess I was unaware of those sort of details, but.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Alderman Neal.
And Mr. Director, too, given that maybe this project might be like a just, slab and then up,
Yep.
that we would actually be capping rather than remediating possibly, you think?
Yeah, there seem to be a few hot spots that we would remove soil. The majority of it, though, would potentially be capped, depending on, it's hard right now, and I think that's our conversations with the DNR, is there's not a use for it right now, right? So if it were to remain vacant, then really we would take out the hot spots and then just put a clean cap on it, and then that would be, and then any future building on it then would require a management plan. But if we had a development for it, during our remediation, we could accommodate whatever that development is. It's always kind of nice to have an idea of what the property use is before we start spending money on remediation, but, yeah.
Well, then that would be my concern too. Would a fire tower there be detrimental to future development there if somebody would want to, say, put an apartment complex there or something? And my also thoughts is, this is kind of sort of in a neighborhood, where I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of burning going on and stuff.
And I can address that. There's going to be a lot of different training that would go on there, not just, when they call it a burn tower, it's because you can have fire in it. The restrictions on what you can burn in a burn tower or a training tower is very limited, straw and pallets essentially. And the way they're designed and how they discharge the smoke, that couple times, a few times a year that I would see it happening would be nothing more than probably the smell of a campfire in the neighborhood. And there's also, options to use gas lines and different types of fire so that we don't create smoke or burn materials. Costs a little bit more to do that, but it is an option. But I would say that our crews would probably burn in there. Each crew, there's 3 crews, 2 to 3 times a year, so that would be nine times a year, depending on what other departments we allow to use it and do the same thing in it.
Yeah, my district borders this property, and I know that they're not going to be happy with this, but I'll bring it to the neighborhood meeting and see what they have to say. Alder Martins, did I see your hand?
Yep, you saw my hand. Thank you. And I kind of agree with you. Excuse me. Kind of agree with you, Alder Larson, on this, because politically, this is going to be would be a challenging site to use. I mean, it's zoned residential as it is, but we've proposed different uses for it over the years. Be it the community partners campus, the fleet maintenance facility, an apartment unit. I'm just right off the top of my head of the last 7-8 years I've been sitting here, and we've always had a significant amount of pushback. So I think this, politically, this citing it at Cleveland Street, the burn tower at Cleveland Street, would definitely be an uphill battle, and I guess that's something we would have to consider if you wanted to move forward on that property.
Thank you, Alder Martins. And I just don't think it'd be appropriate, after all the political battles we've had over this piece of property, to do anything with it until it was remediated as by the wishes of the city council. So, I mean, I'm that's where I'm at. Thank you.
I can appreciate that. Maybe we can just move right into the next property that I listed on there. This one's not owned by the city. This is 515 South 32nd Avenue. This is the old VA clinic that is next to the new Fire Station 2. That property adjoins Station 2. I like that property and threw it in there months back, or maybe even a year ago. I think Alder Martins had walked through that with us to look at that building and that property in itself. And what's nice about that is it is connected to the city. It does give us the acreage with the fire station that's connected to it to qualify for ISO standards, and gives us an opportunity for one of our stations to not have to go very far to use it on a daily basis, right? So that property I threw in there just just because of the fact that we had looked at it in the past, it's come up in different discussions, and I wanted you guys to, to have the opportunity to know that we have discussed it and looked at it, and this one, there's a lot of pros that I just listed. The cons, again, are like you just spoke of, we're in a neighborhood. There'll be a lot of coming and going and some noise, and again, that little bit of smoke. Unless we went a different way with what we burned in the tower. So that's the the downside of that property.
And the last one you have, Chief?
So there's a few different pictures on Enterprise Drive off of 84th. If you all recall, over on 84th, there's it's a pole barn that PD put up for, I believe that's where they keep evidence. I say that loosely because I'm not really sure what they have in that building, but there is a lot of property that the city owns around Enterprise Drive, so I did put an aerial picture of each piece of property. I think this has the opportunity of collaborating well with the police department moving forward on how we can use that property together. It's easy access from the highway as far as bringing props in and out for the technical college. The downside, I guess, is there would be, we would have to do a lot with the property to bring it up to grade and to be able to bring in water and that sort of thing for hydrants and whatever other use we went for in the future. So I like the collaboration with PD. The other downside is now we're getting our emergency vehicles a little further out of town. Our responses could be delayed. We would never have all of our units there at the same time. We would train separately and keep two stations in quarters to cover the city properly. So I don't want to make it sound like we would empty our city and put everybody at a training facility on the west end of town at once. But there is always that concern as the further away we get. But the city is building out that way, and we do have to make responses all the way out to Highway O now. So in some cases, it could help us as we move and grow and move forward as a city. So I do like that property in those realms.
Okay. Alder Neal.
Well, it seems that when we talk about, neighborhood concerns and political, hot potatoes and everything, that it's something like these sites around Enterprise are probably an easier sell. And like you say, I mean, we're not going to be, left empty-handed here in town if somebody's out there training. And these properties might even come up a little bit later in today's meeting on another issue. So, yeah, I'm curious about, the feasibility of either of these sites near Enterprise or off Enterprise. And maybe just come back to us with that. I think some of the other options come with, I guess, some baggage that might be hard for us to handle, to mix metaphors a little bit.
Yeah, and I guess what I envisioned was coming to you guys tonight and moving forward with one of these properties where I can just move forward to the next committee with that. Like I said, I can see ourselves making any one of these four work, so I can appreciate those comments. And when we first started looking, this was one that kept coming up for us, is that property's there. The police department's already started using it. It'd be good collaboration for the both of us. We work together a lot, train together a lot, so.
Alder Neal.
Well, I guess to sort of pre-echo what I'm going to bring up later in the meeting, I do like, the potentials for collaborative efforts, perhaps between DPW and the fire department. So these sites off Enterprise, does anybody here feel like they might look like sites that could be for both the fleet facility and the facility you're looking to build? Is there enough there to accomplish this, or maybe utilize two of these sites, a bigger one and a smaller one, whatever? There might be some efficiencies inherent with a collaborative effort. So wondering if anybody has any comments on that.
I might be wrong in saying this, but I don't know that, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, if you've looked at any properties out there on Enterprise for the fleet facility.
We did look at some. It's not really a great location for us, just because the distance of driving vehicles back and forth to our existing facility out here puts a lot of miles, over the course of a year for maintenance. But also, some of the properties we thought that might be big enough, we were managing wetlands and stuff, and so then we were really restricted on how we could use those. So we were really challenged with some of those sites and how they were laid out. So I don't think that there's any big enough that I'm aware of for both of us to join and, and to be a part of that. I just don't think that there's any properties that are large enough together for that, so.
Alder Martins.
Yeah, thank you. One of my, just kind of jogs my memory that one of the, when we built the evidence storage facility out on Enterprise, the police department was looking at some of that land as a potential location for their range, because the current one now is on leased land over on the north side of town. And they were hoping at some point in time that could become the new home of the range. So that might be in their long-term plans. So just be advised of that if we start moving forward. I think the one, the plot next to Station 2 might be, although it's land we would have to purchase, it's for the most part, it's zoned commercial and it's in a commercial area. It might not be that bad of a spot to site the burn tower facility. It's right off the highway. It gives the department a little bit of visibility. If you're thinking about that, and ostensibly it's in a commercial district. So that might be one of the more workable solutions. I get a little concerned about the land up on Burek Street, because that would be part of the, our wellheads are up there, and I don't know if when you're training and if you're practicing, if there's certain chemicals or substances that you'd be using that could get into our watershed. But other than, I guess I would investigate the land over by Station 2. That's the one that seems like a good fit for me. If the police have nothing, no long range plans out on Enterprise.
I know Chief Barnes we have talked about it pretty loosely as far as collaborating in that realm, because he does feel that time is limited for what they're using right now as a range, and he needs to look at something in the future. And I know he's, that's in the back of his mind. I don't want to speak for him as to how that looks like out on Enterprise Drive, but I do know that, wherever we go, we could always talk about collaboration. I'm a big fan of working together, and I've even talked with Eric about that with DPW if they ever came up with a site that was big enough. We talked about that too, and
Right.
That's something else that I neglected to bring up over on Enterprise Drive is the city keeps growing out to the west. We do have a Wausau Chemical out there and Great Lakes Cheese. One day we're going to need a fourth station, because it's just too far to go from our nearest station right now to achieve our response times that go 4 minutes or less. We can't do that out to those facilities right now. So this could also be a future site that could just keep growing from a training tower to a small station maybe one day if we're really looking into the future. So I'd add that too.
Okay, thank you. Any further conversations, any motions?
I don't know if the committee feels confident of, stating a sure winner, if you will. I am interested in Alder Martin's view on the Station 2 location. I think it makes sense in terms of, it wouldn't shock anybody to see it go up there. So if anything, I would make a motion to put preference on that property. But I don't know that we're at a point where we are making a decision.
Yeah, I agree. I don't feel comfortable because, you know, although what you said about the site, what Alder Martin says about the site, it's also in a neighborhood. You know, and I guess,
For what it's worth, I know the closest neighbor. He won't complain.
well, I mean, maybe perhaps we should do like we did with our road construction plans and just send out a flyer to the people in the neighborhood and say, hey, we're looking at putting a burn tower here and what are your thoughts? And perhaps, because to me, the two suitable locations would be this one and the one out on Enterprise Drive. But I guess I would just have to have more input from the neighborhood before I could go with the Burek Street.
Is this something we would need a motion on, or by consensus, we could just have those two options go back for further
We could do that.
refinement?
We could do that.
I mean, I could even dig up, we did a survey in that neighborhood when we were building Station 2. I don't know if those would hold any water anymore, but I could definitely put together something in that neighborhood, being that I live right there too. I could even do it face to face, and that sort of thing, and check into it. The one thing I will say is, being that I live across the street from there's been a lot of activity, a lot of revisits of people going through that building with the realtor as of late, where it's sat pretty stagnant for the last 2 years. So I don't know if that means anything. If it's, I mean, for all I know, there could be an offer on it right now. So, but that doesn't mean we don't keep trying. So I'll definitely put something together on that, and I'll touch base with the realtor. We'll try to put together a survey, and then I'll keep looking into pros and cons of Enterprise Drive.
Okay.
If that's, and then would that be something I would bring back to this committee then?
I would think so. That would be the consensus.
I think that the consensus is that if we're gonna use property that either the city owns or is looking at purchasing for non-development or non-taxable reasons, like with city facilities like DPW or this, then it would come to this committee. Everything else, I think, goes to economic development. Right, Randy? You can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I think it would be this and then on to.
For the 32nd Ave.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Right on. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chief. On to item number 8. Discussion and possible action on easement with 700 Grand Apartments LLC for underground utilities at 700 Grand. Who's got that?
That'll be me. I'll take that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew.
How you doing? So as part of the development agreement which passed at the previous council meeting with, for the 700 Grand Apartments, the city has to denote a underground utility easement along the north part of that parcel. And in your packet, there's two different maps there. There's one that says preliminary, and we don't have to worry about that one. But if you go with the one that says certified survey map, you can see on that, along the top part of it, close to the Thomas Street side, there's a dot dash line that goes across the parcel, and that denotes kind of where this easement will, the width of that easement. And you can see the ST is the storm, and there's a W for the water line that goes through there. So this is the area that'll have the parking lot on top of it. So this is where the building was shifted back. The parking lot's on top of that, so the easement will stay in place. And basically what needs to happen here is the city needs to just preemptively accept the easement, which will be granted by the developer after the property's closed on by them. So this will go to here and then go on to council at the end of the month.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Comments?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Alder Neal. Do I have a second? Second by Alder Martins. All those in favor of approval of discussion item number 9 signify by saying, oh wait, no, this item 8. signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? None opposed. On to item number 9, discussion and possible action on dedication of land to right-of-way at 700 Grand Avenue. It's basically,
Back up here again. All right.
yeah,
So same kind of deal. When this parcel was initially designed for development, talking with engineering staff, decided to leave that 20-foot, decided to take that extra 20 feet along Grand Avenue for any future road projects. And so as part of this, the city needs to, dedicate that as right-of-way. And I did speak with our contracted surveyor, Mr. Dave Hempner, today. In the memo I provided, it does say a 20-foot wide and 139-foot long strip. And that actually, he suggested we change that to the 398 feet, which is what's shown, again, on the certified survey map. Really just the whole strip there, just to clear up any possibilities of changes on that. So again, this is something though, after this committee, it would go to plan and then go to council at the end of the month for final approval.
okay. Thank you, Andrew. Discussion? Motion? Alder Martins,
Second.
and second by Alder Neal. All those in favor of approving item number 9 on the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. And that passes unanimously. Item number 10, update on future parking facilities for Athletic Park.
And that is also me again.
Oh,
Yeah, so as part of the development agreement, the original development agreement in 2020 and the first amendment to that in 2022 with the Woodchucks organization, the city has an obligation to create some parking facilities, and I wanted to bring this update to the committee. This is kind of the development agreement is kind of one of those unique things that it could touch just about every committee, probably short of HR and public health and safety, but probably could if I got creative. So in your packet, you also have a map, and there's 3 areas denoted there around Athletic Park. The area that's marked 29, that's a current gravel field, gravel parking lot that's going to be paved this year. And there'll be 29 spaces in that. Down just to the east of the field, there's 7, and that's that's going to be also created this year as a ADA parking lot, which was kind of a condition of getting that land. And then, so according to our development agreement, we have to provide 150 new paved parking spaces. And so if you take the 29 and the 7, that's 36, minus that from 150. We have 114 left, and our space in the area, we have some geographic constraints, so the space in the area is really limited. I've talked with quite a few landowners and examined quite a few other options in the area, and I've set a kind of a deadline of middle of this year as far as making a decision, so we can get a parking lot designed in the budget and ready to go for 26, because our deadline for having it completed is early 27. So looking at that, we're looking at doing a large lot, and the Wausau chemical temporary gravel site is really kind of come up as a good candidate. It would be able to hold a larger number of vehicles, and then when it's not being used by Athletic Park, it's still available for anyone coming to the riverfront to be able to use that. And as we know from the River Life area, parking along the riverfront can be kind of tight at times. So, and we also already own the land, so that's useful. So those are the kind of the main facilities that we're looking at doing here. And then I want to kind of just maybe get some quick feedback from the committee on an idea that's been floated as part of a potential second amendment we might be doing with the woodchucks. And so Mark McDonald, the owner of the woodchucks, I think he would very easily state that the street parking is not being utilized properly in the area. And, he would like to see a lot more of paint marking the on-street areas to park, on-street stalls, individually marked out. And so that's something I'm looking at. I've brought it to the engineering staff. And, I think there's perhaps some areas where it would be useful, but there is that consideration of the ongoing cost that would take to maintain those, that paint. So, the areas I've considered is 3rd Street, which would be north and south of Wausau Ave, approximately, down 3 or 4 blocks on south on 3rd Street, and roughly the same distance north, just a little bit north of DeVoe. And then on 2nd Street, again, down about the same distance. And Mr. McDonald is kind of pushing more for the neighborhood areas to have this, so specifically like on Park Ave or Lincoln Ave, to be marked in more residential areas. And there's a couple different reasons I'm more hesitant on that. Mostly, specifically for that, it's more of a condition of the street. There's still a lot of lead lines. It's, I would be careful about setting a precedent, which Athletic Park is unique in the city as far as what happens in that neighborhood. But, this is kind of something where I just want to get some feedback from the committee and kind of see where that goes.
Alder Neal. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the 114 space lot.
Yes.
And just north of it, on the other side of the street, is the current, like, a temporary lot.
Yes.
And what are we looking at just north of that temporary lot?
So this is, so north of Wausau Ave there is the former Great Lakes cheese site.
Right.
So between there and Winton Street, really what we're seeing is some of the more easily developable land along the river in the North Riverfront area.
Right. So, from Wausau south is an area of focus for economic development.
Sure.
The blue lot right now is just it's in the backyard of an area that we are looking at as, developing for, like, residential. Not high density, but medium density type things. It's not going to happen in the next couple of years, but it is an area of focus. So I'm a little leery of making that like a permanent fixture there in what we see as an opportunity zone. Across the street north is a little less desirable in terms of development, because River Drive is, something we're looking at. The infrastructure of River Drive is something that we want people to build along, and there is no River Drive north from there.
Yet.
So, I mean, the riverfront from that street up north is not really developable, except from the backside.
Well, I think actually the area between Wausau Ave and Winton Street is probably the more desirable for the residential development. You have the Wausau chemical site, which, we're working through a process to get that cleaned up. The contamination is underneath the slab. And we do have, I wouldn't say approval, but it's kind of a gentle okay from the EPA to, their instruction was abide by the deed restrictions, and it should be okay to put a parking lot there. So I kind of see it as, whatever does happen with the Wausau chemical site in the future, it may not be residential. So, and as far as limiting intrusions into the ground, a parking lot's a pretty good way to do that. And again, it would be available in the non-baseball softball season for use by the area, by anyone coming down to the riverfront. And, that would be, I think, a really good asset for a large lot that we would have to put somewhere, so.
Okay. The space across First Street, to the east of the 114 lot, that trapezoidal
Yes.
type, what's the disposition of that property, and
That's owned by the Bridge Clinic, and they are.
they have plans for it?
Yes, they do.
Okay. And then north of Wausau, those two little white buildings, that's the old canoe rental place?
Yeah, those don't exist
And that's
anymore.
now city-owned property?
Yeah, and those buildings are gone.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay. I'd make a motion to approve. Is that not even a?
There's
No,
just an update.
there's no
it's just-
motion,
Okay.
it's just an update for
Okay,
future parking facilities, so.
Yeah.
okay.
I don't want to take too much more of your time. We're having a long meeting here tonight, but I was just wondering if there's any more input on maybe the street markings or anything.
I'll speak about the street markings. So I think that's a great idea to stripe those streets, especially, Third Street and I think Second Street are the ones you were talking about. And, provisionally do that for this year and see how that works out and
I wouldn't say it would be good. It would be done this year. So
Okay,
I
well.
just-
Okay.
Or whatever your timeline is, I should say.
Okay.
And if, start small instead of striping every block around the field. And,
yeah.
But I totally agree with you. I've been, not necessarily Athletic Park, but other events in other communities and other neighborhoods, and you start looking for parking, and it's all willy-nilly unless there's slots for people to stick their cars. So that's, I like that idea.
I do too, because, not only for that, but for the residents, so they, while people are enjoying the game, they're also parking the required 4 feet from each side of the driveway, so we don't have that problem.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because that's the biggest concern,
Yeah.
when during the fair, in those neighborhoods, people always are blocking driveways, and they're out writing tickets every evening, so, yeah.
So I have offered to Mr. McDonald that during this summer, our department will do a kind of monitor and evaluate the parking in the area. Just try to get some counts on some of their busier days, and then also try to document if we find any problems such as blocking driveways or whatnot, and bring it back to the committee in the fall. Just kind of use that data to, just reinforce what a good decision might be in that area. So, and I want to be very aware of the ongoing costs with that, and just, I'm trying not to commit us to something that we have to keep on printing money for, so.
Sure.
I think that's one of the things, that we look at in engineering, as the department as a whole, right? Once we put paint on the street, we have to maintain it, right? And so every year we do a pavement marking project, and so those will be increased dollars every year that we're gonna have to do, and that typically, if we're using epoxy, that's about every 3 years. And I do know that we have a hard time keeping up, crosswalks. There are areas that become a priority. I don't know that this would be. And then when we get into residential areas, I would highly, I'd be totally against that. And the main reason is right, like even if you look at Tom Field during game nights and stuff like that, right? People park up the side streets and do everything. But if you tried to mark those areas between driveways, between ingress, egress areas, alleys and stuff, and any residential areas, it would, I think you'd actually lose more parking spots than you would actually, gain. So I would, I guess, caution a little bit, and I think that if we bring this back, we could maybe kind of look at a layout or something on that, but I'm, a little bit hesitant. I understand the thought on it is definitely positive to direct people where to go, but there are some ongoing maintenance on that as well.
Okay,
That's all I had, so,
okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. And then we'll turn it over to Eric for number 11, update on the proposal fleet maintenance facility and possible location.
Yeah, this is pretty much what was in last month. I don't have any new news at this point as we move forward. I know that I've had a conversation with the mayor about relooking at some of those other areas, whether it's purchasing residential properties and some commercial properties down by our existing facility, and then relooking at some of the other properties that we looked at to see if that they would be, any different feeling from the owners on those properties. So, and there was, we were looking at that property up on Cherry Street, that MBX property. So we'll be discussing that further as well, moving forward with some of the investigations and stuff that have been ongoing. Yep.
Okay, Alder Neal, you have something to add?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I just don't see the Cherry Street as being one that I would possibly support. I've driven by it a million times and often thought, gee, it'd be great to have this property available for development. It's not the greatest, primest in the world, but it's there. It's downtown essentially. It's on the river essentially. It's adjacent to extended Riverwalk. I would love to see that property, maintain itself as a taxable plot of land, and let's look into developers' interest in putting something there, mixed use or residential or what have you. And it could be that there's that adjacent parking lot that was mentioned here. That could be also something that could be broached with a developer about. Well, this is, the city's got this part, but there's also this other part, which I think you'd be interested in adding on. So, some kind of, working with the developer to get the whole banana together. And I think it's a sellable property downtown. And it's the kind of thing that I'd be more apt to want to see downtown than a fleet facility. It's not compatible with my vision.
No, I appreciate that feedback. I think that's good feedback from the council. So.
Okay. Item number 11, adjournment. Motion to adjourn by Neal, second by Alder Watson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye, and no one's opposed. Thank you.
Yes, exactly.